Before we begin, please imagine the bell notification is on and you're subscribed to Huna Stories. I bought the resort stay 3 months before their anniversary. It wasn't an impulsive purchase. I read the details carefully. 2 nights, ocean view, spa access, breakfast included. The kind of place my parents would never book for themselves, but always admired when they saw it on travel shows. I imagined them there, walking along the beach in the evening, my mother pointing out the expensive decor, my father pretending not to care, but secretly impressed. It felt like a clean gesture, not dramatic, just thoughtful. I told myself it wasn't about fixing anything. Families weren't projects you repaired with gifts. But still, when I clicked purchase, a small, hopeful part of me was there. The voucher arrived in a simple envelope with the resort logo pressed into thick cream paper. I wrapped it in a plain navy box. When they opened it at dinner, my mother blinked twice before reading it again. "A 5-star resort," she said. My sister leaned over her shoulder. "Wow, fancy." They sounded surprised, maybe even pleased. That was enough. Over the years, I'd learned not to expect much more than that. Our family worked in small imbalances. My sister had the kind of humor that always hovered slightly above people, never beside them. My mother laughed easily, especially when someone else was the subject. My father mostly stayed quiet, like he believed silence kept things from getting worse, and I had become the one who compensated. If dinner went awkwardly, I changed the subject. If money got tight for them, I helped. If birthdays were forgotten, I remembered. Not out of resentment, at least not consciously, just habit. The evening before their trip, I stopped by the house to confirm their departure time. My mother was in the kitchen. My sister sat at the table scrolling through her phone. There was no suitcase anywhere. "Are you packed yet?" I asked. My mother turned around with a small smile. "Oh, about that." She wiped her hands on a towel like the conversation was trivial. "I sold the voucher." "I thought I'd misheard you." "What?" She laughed lightly, the way people laugh when they assume the other person will understand. "I sold it online. Someone paid almost full price." My sister looked up from her phone. "Actually, full price," she corrected, "plus a little extra." My mother waved her hand dismissively, as if we'd go on a trip like that with you. The sentence landed casually, like it wasn't meant to bruise anything. My sister chuckled. "Thanks for the extra cash, though." No one looked particularly uncomfortable. They were waiting for the conversation to continue. I remember noticing the clock above the refrigerator ticking. I nodded once, then I left. They probably expected the usual pattern, a day or two of distance, then things settling back into place. I didn't call, I didn't text. A week passed. My phone lit up with a message from my mother. "Why are you being dramatic?" Later that day, another. "It was just a voucher." Then silence again. The email from the resort arrived on a Tuesday morning. Subject line, "Reservation verification request." At first, I thought it was routine, but the message was formal. The voucher had been flagged during a check-in attempt by a guest whose name didn't match the reservation record. The package was non-transferable because it had been purchased under my account. They needed confirmation regarding the transaction. I read the email twice. The person who bought the voucher must have tried to redeem it. The resort had stopped them. A few hours later, another email arrived. The buyer had claimed they purchased the voucher legitimately and requested either access to the stay or a refund. The resort was reviewing the case. They asked only one question: had the voucher been resold with my authorization? I closed the email. I didn't answer immediately. 2 days later, my parents came to my apartment. They didn't knock normally. They knocked quickly, repeatedly. When I opened the door, my mother looked pale. My sister stood behind her with her arms crossed, but the usual sarcasm was gone. "We need to talk," my mother said. I stepped aside. They sat at the table. My father wasn't there. "What happened?" I asked. My sister answered first. "That stupid resort voided the voucher." My mother leaned forward. "The man who bought it is threatening to take us to court." Apparently, when the buyer contacted the resort, the staff asked for the original purchaser, me. They explained the voucher was tied to my name and could not legally be transferred. The buyer wanted his money back.
More than that, he wanted compensation for travel plans he had already arranged. My mother rubbed her temples. They told him they'd only speak with you. For a moment, no one said anything. The refrigerator hummed softly in the kitchen. My sister finally broke the silence. Just tell them you authorized the transfer. Her tone sounded reasonable, almost casual. It'll fix everything. I looked at them, at the nervous way my mother kept adjusting the strap of her purse, at my sister avoiding my eyes for the first time in years. The situation had shifted, not because I pushed it, because systems have rules, and sometimes those rules arrive quietly. The voucher wasn't transferable, I said. My sister shrugged. So? So I didn't authorize anything. My mother's voice softened. We didn't realize it would matter. I believed that, not because they trusted the rules, because they assumed the consequences would never reach them. They were used to things bending, mostly because I had bent them. That afternoon, I replied to the resort. My message was simple. The voucher had been a gift to my parents. I had not authorized any resale or transfer. Nothing dramatic, just the truth. The resort voided the voucher completely. The buyer demanded his money back from the people who sold it to him. A few weeks later, my mother called again. Her voice sounded careful now, different, but something inside me had already settled. I didn't argue, I didn't explain. I simply stopped arranging things that held the family together, stopped solving problems before they appeared, stopped offering the small efforts that once filled every gap. The strange thing about stepping out of a role is how quiet it feels. No explosion, no declaration, just the absence of effort. And in that silence, a slow realization becomes clear. Some people never valued the love, only the currency it arrived.